Calling all nerds. This is More Than Dice, the podcast where we dive deep into the realms of everything nerdy. Whether you're a nerd culture connoisseur, a tabletop titan, a miniature gaming marveler, or just someone who proudly embraces their inner geek, this is the podcast for you. And now here's your hosts, Gonzo, John, and Nerd. Oh, and sometimes Mizzy.
Hey, welcome to another episode of More Than Dice and already a Tango with Terry. So, I still can't find a rose that I can Velcro to his mouth yet. But here's a Tango with Terry.
Or eyes.
Or eyes. No, he's psychic, and so he doesn't need eyes anymore. You know.
He has blind fighting.
He has blind fighting. He's like,
you know. Being a connoisseur of the blind master genre, they still have eyes.
I'll get some fake sunglasses and put it on them.
Googly eyes. Did we decide googly eyes?
Two different sizes of
googly eyes.
googly eyes specifically.
One big one real small and tiny on the other side. That way I can shake them around.
Perfect.
Type thing. Well, guys, welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I think we're at episode 289. This episode, we're going to be talking about starting, stopping, and pausing all of your hobby stuff. Tango with Terry would go well with a snazzy new intro. We hope you enjoy the new intro. That was commissioned recently from an individual on Fiverr. And if you'd like the link to him and or whatever, he's really reasonable, really well done, and we got to us in like 3 or 4 days, so it was really awesome.
It was super quick.
Yeah, and very professional at it too. We also have a new outro, so stick around after the show for that. But let's get to the business. We want to thank Creature Caster for sponsoring the podcast. Make sure you check out their website, the Judgment Game, and their tribe on My Mini Factory, where you can get models and a 5th edition module to go with those models. And just cool models. And if you haven't played Judgment, you should. It's a very fun game and very quick. Technically, you only need 3 to 5 models, depending on how you're playing. But we know us nerds, we buy more than what we want and more than we need because we're fucking nerds.
What? I'm offended? No, I'm kidding.
No, you're not. As we all look around in our collection, go, shit.
This isn't even like a. This is the smallest portion of my collection.
Yeah.
Just,
and I'm like, shit. So we want to thank also Muse on Minis for hosting our podcast. They've got some new products coming out. I'm sure you'll start seeing them at conventions and other places pretty soon. You can get some cool little widgets or control stuff. I think they're probably going to step into terrain again. So we'll see.
Cool.
We want to thank Parabellum War Games for the makers of Conquest for all the cool things. And if you buy anything from them, make sure you use our discount code and you can get, I think, 10% off your purchase. They will have, I know that they're doing a bunch of new resculpts and a bunch of new models and a bunch of new ways that you can get into the game. And I think they're having a new army pretty soon. I'm not sure which one. I didn't see anything news yet, but it will be coming. We want to thank Turbo Dork for sponsoring the channel. If you like good metallic paints or also shifting paints, make sure you check them out. I'm pretty sure they're going to be at Adepticon, and they'll probably have hopefully they'll have some of the new stuff, the new bottles there, which I'm really interested in. I'm really interested to grab some of the new bottles and test them out.
As soon as they release, I got to buy one just to see how it works, because it's interesting.
Yeah, for people that don't know, they've switched their bottles. They're using like vape juice bottles for their paint, and so it's going to be interesting. It's been re-engineered, and of course everything.
Yeah,
but
I like the evolution of the dropper bottle, even because like you've got the standard Vallejo one, and it's pretty good.
Yeah,
but it has some issues occasionally, and then sort of have like the. Heck, do I even have one? The Cuttlefish Colors is a completely different bottle.
Right here. Oh.
Race, who's going to bring up first?
Actually. I do also have one here. I just had to find out where it was, which is also interesting. I like it a little better than the Vallejo one, and actually, I really like the Two Thin Coats one better than Vallejo 2. Neither of these other two.
I never have to unclog them, and that's what I like.
So the Two Thin Coats have had to unclog.
Oh, I meant the cuttlefish.
Yeah, the cuttlefish never had to unclaw.
Yeah.
And
No.
neither of them have the pressure continued drippage problem that the Vallejo ones do,
Mm-hmm.
which is slightly annoying sometimes. But
Yeah, I
anyways,
also
continue.
use the Scale 75, and they got the little bit of a drippage issue, or will come out a little bit
Well,
more.
it's the
type
same.
thing.
It's the same bottle
Yeah.
basically as the Army Painter and fucking Vallejo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Reaper's similar.
Yeah,
And I agree with you on the cuttlefish one. I haven't had. There's not an issue with
no problems
with
at
that
all.
one.
No.
But I'm
No.
definitely looking forward to. I'm gonna see if I can grab some from Turbo Dork, and maybe we can get some little bit of a. I can give a review of the new dropper bottles. 'Cause I know a lot of people are looking forward to that because if it actually changes, I'm feeling you're gonna have people change over to that style of dropper bottle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could be easier and better.
Yeah.
We also want to thank Midnight Heroes for sponsoring the channel. He is actually doing a sale right now on all of his product. I think everything is 30% off right now. So if you want to pick up some cool chibi models,
Jeez.
yeah, they're off on his channel right now. I think they'll be working on a Kickstarter coming up, and it's going to be a pirate Kickstarter. Yeah, chibi pirate Kickstarter. So that'll be coming out. And I think I got everybody.
Yeah.
I think I got everything. Yep, I got everything. John, do we have any shout outs this week?
I know of two musical shout-outs. I'll go with
Yep.
the lesser-known one first, which is Mojo Nixon, who most of you won't know. The only two reasons you would know Mojo Nixon is a line from the Dead Milkmen Punk Rock Girl,
Which one?
where he says, if you don't have Mojo Nixon, then your store could use some fixing.
Yep.
Okay, because I'm like, I know that song inside and out. I'm just like, wait a minute, I don't remember.
And
it being
then
mentioned
the
in
real reason is because you'd heard the song Elvis is Everywhere, which had a lot of MTV airplay back in the 80s. It's his big hit. And Mojo Nixon they call him Psychobilly as far as his
Okay.
his genre. He's very what's a nice way of putting it? Very funny, risque, rude, that kind of thing.
Raunchy?
But raunchy, yeah. Very amusing though. He's got a fair amount of songs. He's not like super big, but he's one of those, underground guys you've heard of, and it's just a couple fun songs there. Xander, I think you may want to recheck the dates on that one.
Yeah, Tina Turner passed away last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Toby Keith passed.
Yes.
And you may not like country. I understand if you don't like country. But Toby Keith was generally, by every account, a good dude.
I
like,
don't think I ever heard anything negative about him.
I mean, Stephen Colbert did a great segment about him, how like he was the guest that he decided, like, I got to stop just attacking these people because I think they're going to be, a certain way. I got to learn who they are. And he and Toby Keith were friends. And they're, like, on the surface as different as you could get.
Yeah.
But Toby Keith did 11 USO tours. The only person doing more USO tours is fucking Bob Hope.
What?
Damn.
Bob Hope.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in forever.
Not a legend,
Well,
but,
is he dead?
Yes, him and Abe Vigoda, both, unfortunately. But yeah, he was a good dude, and honestly, if you listen to his oeuvre of music, the worst song he put out is a solid country radio song. The worst song, and most of his transcend that into being that sort of almost crossover country rock stuff. He was sort of like the next Garth Brooks. Never quite hit the heights of Garth Brooks. He didn't have quite. I don't know. He didn't quite just hit that. But I loved his self-effacing humor. He made fun of himself in his videos and everything all the time, and had a lot of bangers.
Was there a bunch of mashes also?
Maybe he's not British, so that wouldn't matter.
But all right. Get to the stupid important stuff. What's everybody drinking tonight, John?
Well, I finished a couple drinks, but I am going to have some Dr. McGillicuddy's apple pie liqueur,
Okay.
and a red Solo cup.
Okay. Nerd, what are you drinking tonight?
Dihydrogen monoxide.
Oh,
I heard that's poisonous if you sniff it.
Yep.
Yes, you cannot breathe it unless you're Aquaman.
Yeah. I heard if you breathe that in, it'll kill you. Be careful. I'm also doing the same thing Nerd is doing, but I've got to make sure that I don't breathe it in also. It'll kill me. If it gets in my lungs.
We don't want to drown ourselves.
But yeah, I'll be doing the water. For some people that ask how I've been doing lately, I've actually lost about 6 pounds. Been eating pretty healthy. I don't want to say I ruined my diet yesterday, but because I'm not dieting, I'm just eating healthier. And yesterday, we're going to go on a quick food rant after we give our cheers out. Or not a food rant, but a food discussion. But I've been eating a little bit healthier, fruits and vegetables, blah, 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 blah type thing. So, and I've just been sticking to water. And yesterday, I kind of blew all of that out of the water, but it was okay because we went out to eat.
Yeah.
So, guys, we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. Also, make sure and keep an eye out on the channel. We're going to be doing some changes up. Nerd's going to be kind of changing some times. I'm going to be streaming most likely on a Wednesday night. We're going to be doing some either gaming or working on miniatures, depending on how my mood is going.
Yeah, I'll probably switch to Monday nights.
Okay. And stuff. And John says that he's got a game that he might start streaming after a little while. So we'll have to wait and see. So just pay attention. If you are not following us on Facebook, that's kind of where we put everything out to begin with. Nerd says she's going to start up a TikTok pretty soon, and she'll be doing a More Than Dice TikTok and doing dances,
all the
and all that.
dances.
Yeah, all the dances. And having a great time.
I'm going to be so up on all the trends, you won't know me.
Yeah.
Right.
As usual, please take care of
I
yourself.
just wanted to make John grin.
Please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. If you can do something, do it. And if you can't, find somebody that will, because we need to take care of each other. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes, Mizzy. Gabo thirst traps.
So you're saying you're going to have Gabo simps?
Apparently.
So
it's been predestined.
Predestined. So yesterday I went out to a new restaurant we have, and it's a French restaurant. And it's all this French cuisine and all this other stuff and everything. And I was like, hey, I always like to try, whatever. And I like to, it's a little expensive, and I don't mind blowing money on good food and good alcohol. Don't have a problem with it. Started off the night with a bourbon. I totally forgot to write it down, but it was a new bourbon I never had before. It was pretty good, nice and smoky, whatever. And I forgot that I hadn't eaten since 12 o'clock, or actually I hadn't eaten since like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was like 6 o'clock at night. So I was like, oh, I better take this, bourbon a little slow. And I did. I sipped it through the entire dinner. And the first thing we had was a cheese tray. And it was like 5 different types of cheese, a goat cheese, some, it had a little bit of bread with it. This one cheese, it was 3 different types of creams and such, which was really, 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 really good. And then the other was a cheese with like a vegetable rind, and I don't remember what it was from, but it was slathered in whipped honey. And
Wow.
It was fucking amazing.
Gonzo's lips are moving, and all I hear is pretentious, 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 pretentious.
I'm just hearing cheese, 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 cheese.
Yeah, this is an upscale restaurant, but what was funny is I walk in, of course, in, Kermit the Frog tennis shoes and shorts and, a t-shirt, and some people are all dressed up to the nine, and I'm like, nope, there's not a dress code. I'm not wearing anything but I normally wear. And then for a main course, I had a lamb shanks, which was lamb shank couletti or something like that. I don't know what it was, but pretty much what it was is a ham hock and white beans, carrots, jus, and lamb sausage. The lamb sausage was all right. It was a little too gamey.
I've ever had lamb sausage.
Yeah, it was a little gamey. The ham hock was amazing. I pulled the bone right out, and the meat just fell apart. The carrots were okay. It was, but it was cooked well and it tasted well. And then there was the dessert, and the lady started running down the list, and I said, "Stop." And she's like, "What?" I go, like, "You said creme brulee. That's all you got to say. You don't have to go any further. You don't have to name anything else. Just creme brulee." And so
I had creme brulee for the first time last year.
I love it. If I can get it, I will get it. But it was a creme brulee with a small ball of chocolate ice cream, but the chocolate was like it wasn't ice cream. It was gelato type thing, and it was really, really good.
Nice.
And I also had a Cabernet with my main dinner, so I had a nice little good buzz by the time we were going home.
So Gonzo had all this fancy stuff, and I fucking had Nutella for the first time.
And?
Which is like
good.
90% sugar.
I put it on saltine crackers. It was really good.
No, I'm sure it was.
We always have a jar of Nutella in our house.
I just never had it before, so I'm like, when my people gave it to me in like a gift bag for Christmas, and I had a little bottle looking for a snack. I'm like, oh, let me steal some saltines from Banyan Island because he has a ton of saltines. Don't read into, or you can read into that if you want. And then take that and knife, and I'm like, just spread it on there. I'm like, this is really good. This is a good solid dessert.
Yep, it's also a common breakfast spread on bread in Germany and France.
But I mean, it was just I don't mind paying, good money for good food. If I would have got there and it would have been shitty food, I would have been very upset. But it was good food. It was well cooked. I like to try new things. I mean, I've had lamb before, but I've never had it that way and such. So,
yeah.
And then Captain Mizzy said she had trash food while I had fancy food, but I don't mind. We had a good discussion about this.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Taco Bell.
If you enjoy the taste of it and it makes a turd, you're fucking doing it right.
The key part is making a turd.
Because that means it's got nutrients and it actually does something for your body.
Mm-hmm.
So
now my girlfriends and I had Galentine's last night, so that was our little celebration, and apparently all the guys were disappointed that they weren't invited, but we're like, you could have your own.
You could have your dude Valentine. Come on.
Yeah, no, I tried that breakfast old fashioned, and it was just it was a nice change up from what I normally would order, because I normally stick to like Dark and Stormies or a Moscow Mule or something like that, and then I had this amazing couscous salad with like beets and pomegranate seeds and chicken, and so good.
John's rolling his eyes.
I had a chicken sandwich from the Dash-In with some tater tots.
I have been trying a bunch. Today I
tater
tried
tots are classic.
Tater tots are better than French fries. I'll fight you on that.
I agree.
They got to be crispy. If they're not crispy tater tots, if they're the soggy ones, I'm just like, no, fuck you.
They're still better than soggy fries.
Soggy fries.
Well, you guys
suck
want
too.
some tater tot hot dish?
No. That's really good.
No. But I did try some new protein chocolate cereal, and it was pretty good. It was an almond protein chocolate flake cereal. It was good. Didn't taste bad, which that's my key thing. If it's good for me and it tastes like shit, I'm not going to eat it. I was supposed to I had a shipment was supposed to come in like this Wednesday or Thursday, and it's still waiting. Thank you, Amazon delivery fuckers. But there was also some like health stuff there and there I was going to try. Also, I bought some new paintbrushes, and I was like, I want to test these out because they were pretty cheap. They looked decent, and they had good reviews, and they're still not in. So I was pretty pissed off. Let's go and switch over to the paint cam. I'll bring over some models and stuff, and then we'll get everything going. That hurt. Ba-da-dunk. Da-da-da-da-da. I know because Captain Mizzy probably would want to see this, and we don't. We want to be nice sometimes.
Look, you can fuck around with Captain Mizzy if you want. You will eventually find out.
So
respectfully, if I'm putting money down, I'm putting my money on Mizzy.
Yeah, same.
He's a pirate. Don't fuck with pirates.
So, Barbarian Press had a new model, and of course it comes in so many pieces. This was all one piece.
It's
with
off
brick.
camera a bit.
Yeah, it's kind of big. So
There we go.
That's what she said.
Really nice detail. Really cool. Really fun. The one pig on the front pointing out. And then it came with the different models. The guns are a separate piece. Really hard to see them because they're not primed, but there's little pigs. And then they got the captain. And what I liked about this is when you put him in here in the proper spot, he's actually looking over the side. He's not looking like directly behind. He's actually peering around the ship. And then you got the top of the balloon. 2 flags. And then you got a guy on top doing the lookout. This was 2 pieces. The flags are attached, but the top here was a separate piece that you glued on. But
Okay.
really
That
good
looks
print.
like it would be really fun to paint.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to painting this. It didn't come with magnets. You had to get your own magnets, which I have tons of them. But they had pre-drilled holes in the bottom and the top of the model. So when you store it, you can just, pull it off and lay it down like this instead of, have it. But they're, strong magnets, so they don't, they're not going to go anywhere. But
Just
really
make
cool
sure
model.
you put the magnets in facing the right direction, and you're
Oh
good.
yeah.
I learned that the hard way making dice boxes.
Oh yeah.
Say, test fit your magnets more than you do everything else.
But really cool model. Really looking forward to it. Got a lot of cool rules to it. I have one of my lists that I have for one of my Brine Bloods, and it has those 2 balloons, 3 of these, which are the small dredge, and then, of course, the mercenary one, which is here. And there's 2 models. Like, one model goes in here, and then one model that's underneath here. But so I've got like the Air Force of dirigibles type thing coming.
Nice.
So I'll get those set up and everything whenever, get to play in 75 points. But other than that, really cool model. Really like it. For those that are going to be at Adepticon, we do have our new stickers coming. You just got to show us that you're a follower somewhere within our media sections of stuff, and you can get a free sticker from either Mizzy, myself, or Nerd.
I mean, or if you show up at my local store and let me know in advance, you get a sticker from John.
Ooh, I like that purple.
Oh yeah, the purple's always great. Making sure, are we coming in? We're a little fuzzy. So, all right. So our discussion that I wanted to talk about is starting, stopping, and pausing stuff. And I figured we would take it with RPGs first. We've talked about starting RPGs quite a bit, get with your players, that type of thing, type stuff. But myself, when I'm running an RPG, I always have an endpoint in mind with my RPGs because I'm trying to tell a story. And I let my players know that before, we even start anything. Before we, get started and everything's going on. But for somebody that doesn't have an endpoint in an RPG, when do you know to stop playing? John?
You don't. Like if you're playing an open world game, you never know when to stop. What happens is eventually you'll miss a couple sessions, the group will drift apart, and you stop just because you did. Now you might start that back up again. That's entirely possible. But I mean, do you want to talk about stopping now and me save the starting for later?
You can do that too.
I mean, which do you want?
It's up to you. Your discussion.
Okay. So that was my discussion.
You must choose.
So anyway, if you, Xander says sometimes the game might just stop naturally. You might get to a point
Yeah.
And, everyone just has stuff in life, and it might be a good stopping point. It might not. But I will say, having tried to start up some games that have stopped, um, I'm about 50-50 on that. So don't necessarily expect it's going to. Don't try and force it. If it's not working out, just say, okay, that game's over. Let's go to the next one. You have to know. I mean, as a wise man once said, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Know when to walk away.
Know when to run.
Yep.
And it works for so many things in life. Like if you're playing a game, if you're starting to plan a continuation of a game, and it doesn't feel like it's working, don't just start a new game.
Yep, that's what I did.
Yeah, your players will understand.
Yeah, I ran out of material.
If they really like their character, you might even be able to work their character in.
Yeah.
But don't necessarily just try and go, we're going to start this game up we were playing. If you're stopping a game and you know you're stopping it because, you've got like a 2-month period where one of the players is going to be working at the local Renaissance Festival, that's not a specific, thing or anything.
No, that's a thing.
Yeah, I'm just being sarcastic again.
Oh no, I've been in that situation.
Yeah, I have
where
too.
we had
That's
to pause
why
because somebody was. Yeah.
take a lot of notes of where you stopped, but note that even when it becomes time to start again, you may not start the same game. They've been out for 2 weeks. They've been, working potentially for 2 weeks at another job, and they might just want time off. And maybe even after that, they're like, I'm not really. I want to spend time on other things. It happens. I mean, the main thing is just don't try and make it work when it's not working. If it feels like it's not working, just stop, start another game. See who you got to play. Maybe you just don't have anyone to play. It sucks, but maybe you just got to go, all right, we're not playing for a while. Enjoy life for a little bit. I mean, role-playing's fun, but if you're the GM especially, it's a bit of work too, and sometimes not having to worry about it's a little bit of a siesta.
Yeah, like I took a 6-week break off over the holidays, and I just we're taking a pause. Take your notes, mark where we were. We'll be back in 6 weeks.
Yep. That's great. If you plan for it, it's easier because they'll know that's coming.
Yeah. But I've also had where I had to take a mental health break for several weeks and couldn't run anything. So
that's important too. People stop mental health. Mental health is actually every bit as important as physical health.
Yes.
Your body heals better than your mind. Fucking take it from me. But yeah, you have to put yourself in a position to be able to start again if you think you're going to want to, or maybe even for an open world game, maybe it's just played out. Those characters are played out, and it's time to go to something else.
Yeah,
it can be similar. It could be refreshed. Like, hey, let's make new characters, new game, similar thing. Maybe it's time to take a change to a board game night for a couple of weeks while you think of what game you're going to play. Maybe there's a game out that just came out that you want to try. We're doing that with G.I. Joe. I'm like, hey, I've got this game. Let's try it. We're enjoying it. We've got another plan to change in, late this year when the Turtles reboot new play-in game comes out. Going to play the fuck out of that, hopefully. But I would say as I get older and my friends get older and fucking life decides to be life, I almost think don't make fully open world games. And this is sort of a meta thing on it, is because they're going to stop at some point. So you want to have you can make it quasi open world, but you want to have more arcs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be fully serial. You want to be a combination of serial and episodic. You can have things relate back to things that came before. You can have okay, this is going to take a couple adventures to get through. That's all perfect. But don't make it just them doing what they want to do all the time. It's super fun to a point, but eventually you're going to get to that point in your life, and you're not going to see it coming, where you have to stop that game, and everything's going to feel unresolved.
Yep.
So having smaller arcs and go okay, hey, we're done with this arc. Do we want to keep going or something else? That's a great thing. That communication between GM and player is, for something like that, is going to be great, because now you're going to have their input. I kind of want you'll get their input. I want to change characters, and if they all want to change characters, at that point, you want to change the game. You can make it similar, like I said previously, but at that point, you know you're going to want to change the game. And Xenoboard says, sometimes you have infighting, you need to take a space from it. Absolutely. Sometimes you just kick the player out because they're an asshole. I've had to do that a couple times.
Yep.
Sometimes you kick the player out because they're just not fucking participating.
Yep.
Because
Or
they
you can have it
fucking-
where they're not vibing with the group, which is
Yeah.
a situation that I'm currently in, so we're trying to resolve that.
One of the best role players I worked with, Dave Kahn, moved here from Michigan. We invited him into a group. He's playing for a bit. And after a bit, he realized, he's like, hey, nothing against you, John. I think you're doing a good job, but I don't think I'm vibing with your group. And he says, I'm going to try and do something and this is years ago, on the internet with my friends. Like, oh, that's cool. More power to him. That was the most adult response to that someone could have. It was great.
Yeah.
And you got to be
Like,
that way. Sometimes you got to see your way to the door. Or sometimes you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Mhm.
We did that myself and Not Brushhead Dave were playing Castles and Crusades. My cousin John running it. And shortly into the game, we realized we don't fucking like Castles and Crusades.
I've never played it.
All due respect to everyone who likes something based off original D&D. I don't think it's good, but if it's what you want, more power to you. It is not what I'm looking for from a role-playing game.
Yeah, like sometimes you start playing a game and you find out, like in the case that I had once, where the combat system, like there was no way not to die. It was just poorly balanced, and we ended up just scrapping it and picking a different system entirely.
We did that during a couple games. I did a couple games on recorded. When we did 3 Gnomes and a Half Giant, we started off in a system and then changed because it just wasn't working well.
Yeah.
And we just switched. I mean, sometimes you gotta do that. And we say this a lot of things. System mastery from a game master point of view is super important. Because it's the difference between you being able to run a game relatively seamlessly and you having to stop and look up rules. And there's something to be said for that. If the game's just not vibing, don't try and force it. Like any of these games, don't try and force them. If they're not working, don't try and make them work. Talk with your players. Maybe decide you all want to make them work, but if you're the only one trying to make it work, if the other players are just fucking doing what they do, just don't. You can't. Sometimes you just have to end it. And God knows that putting on pause, I find it's actually the hardest to put a game on pause.
Yes, I agree with that.
I count every pause as an end with the potential for continuing. I think that's the best way to do it, because nowadays in life, shit fucking happens at a frenzied pace. You never know when fucking suddenly COVID's going to happen and you're not role playing.
Yep.
Because you're being safe. Or your friend's life happens. That stuff happens. So if you make the storylines and such more conducive to okay, we hit a good ending point. There's some unresolved things, but not like the whole world's going to end if you don't do something. If it's a good ending point, sometimes just like, let's just go do the next thing. I mean, maybe you come back. Like I said, if you take good enough notes, you could theoretically come back. But most games, I find you don't necessarily need to. You can do it. It's difficult. If you find the actual formula for it, fucking let me know. Like I said, I'm 50-50 or less on continuing campaigns. At some point, you sort of lose it. Your mind gets new ideas you want to try. And you have to realize that. Especially something like D&D, something very buildy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I want to try this cool build because I want to see how it works. And it's not that the role playing isn't important to these people. The role playing is super important to these people, but if they quote unquote solve their version of the combat portion, they have more time to not worry about that and focus on the role playing in their mind. So I try other stuff. We'll see how it works.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to let that go.
Yeah, you try to avoid like player burnout in that case. Like if you have a player that's not enjoying their character, change it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't force your players to play characters they don't enjoy.
Yeah, because then they'll just leave.
Yeah.
And that's worse for everyone. So, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
And starting's not easy either. The full starting is not an easy thing. As someone who's started a bunch of campaigns, it just didn't. Sometimes it's not going to meet your vision, and you have to fucking accept that.
Yeah.
No matter how prideful you are, or how much your friends say, "Oh, John's a good GM" or whatever. Sometimes it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Maybe you're in the wrong system. Maybe just the stars haven't fucking aligned. You don't know.
Like, I had a campaign that I got invited into that I ended up dropping out of because I had no personal reference for the entire genre that we were doing.
That's a problem.
Yeah. I was the only non-anime nerd in the group, and we were doing a Magical Girl campaign, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Power Rangers. Power Rangers are magical girls.
Yeah, totally. I can see that.
Yeah, I mean,
But like, it was beyond just like we were magical girls. Well, there was the Magical Girl campaign, and then there was another one that we were doing that I also ended up dropping out of just because of schedules and timing and stuff. That was a solar punk kind of feel, but then we were also like avatars of gods. It was a weird combination. Like, it was a really cool concept, but I wasn't getting it.
yeah, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even if you don't get it, sometimes you get it in general, and you're going to have to defy the GM's expectations and other players. We played a Japanese samurai game, and they were all fucking shocked. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be like an Ashigaru, like a fucking, peasant warrior. They're like, why would you do that? We could kill you at any time legally. And? Because that's what I want to play. I get to have different role-playing opportunities than you guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes just let that go. All right, cool.
How is Godzilla a magical girl, Xander?
I don't think Godzilla's a magical girl.
No.
But there's a lot. Heck, fucking.
I mean, I would love to see a Godzilla magical girl transformation. Don't get me wrong.
Like, there's superheroes who are, the girls from the mouth are, kind of. I can see kind of that, yeah.
Okay.
But, like, there's a lot of superheroes who are magical girls. Fucking Shazam's a magical girl.
Oh, yeah.
Captain Marvel. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
It's great. I love that crossover. People like, don't do magic. Like, back in the day, we did a Marvel superheroes campaign, and one of the guys wanted to play a Power Ranger, and all the superhero nerds are like, that's stupid. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's just like fucking Shazam. And they're like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, no, shut up. But yeah, so if you're starting a game and it's just not working, sometimes you got to talk to the players. Like, I know I always say this, communication is key in life. It's why so many things fail, because you don't know how to communicate. That's a story for another time. But in role playing, you have to be like, hey guys, I don't feel like this working, because they can be like, no man, this is great. I am enjoying the crap out of everything you're doing, and this is awesome. Because you don't necessarily know. I mean, the players don't necessarily state. There's no report card. How is the GM doing?
Yeah.
You can feel like you're doing terrible, and they can be like, this is the most fun time I've had in a while. Like, oh, cool.
Like, you can poll your players, ask how you're doing, get feedback, but like,
It's
if
hard,
they're
though.
comfortable with that.
Yeah, if
Not
they're comfortable
all
with
players
that.
are comfortable coming forward with that kind of stuff because they can see it as conflict. But
Yeah. But, I mean,
or they're
joined.
afraid of conflict. I've had that where they're just like, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to cause any problems, and I'm like,
How
well,
am I supposed
it's
to get
making you
better if you
uncomfortable.
don't say anything?
Yep, can't fix anything if I don't know about it.
I mean, role playing in general is both easier and harder than everyone thinks.
Yeah.
GMing apparently is the toughest thing in the world, as everyone says. But that's a forever GM talk in here, because I don't get to play.
I have gone the extra mile to make sure that I am not the forever GM, which is why I'm in so many games. Because I'm like, I need a break. I need to not think so much.
Well, in order to make the most of our mini gaming time.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the games of my friends are my game and my buddy Jason's game are on the same weekend.
Oof.
So I don't get it why.
Ah.
I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, so yeah, starting time. It's a lot of communication. Like it's going to all be
Mhm.
communication. You knowing what. And sometimes even if your players aren't communicating with you, you're going to have to reach out and sort of force them to talk to you.
Especially if you're, like, say, putting together a group of people you've never played with before.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
starting people you never played with. Yeah.
establish, like, have that discussion in session 0 during character building and that kind of stuff. What is your role play style? Like, if you know what that is. If you're a new player, obviously you're not going to know, but like having that discussion about, like,
Well, the GM
house
could have
rule.
that too.
Yeah.
And hold on. You hear that, all you fuckers on Twitter? Session 0 is a fucking thing.
Who says session 0 isn't a thing? Excuse
Oh,
me. I'm gonna fight.
The classic D&D guys. There was a whole discussion like a year or two ago about how you made that up. Session 0 is an actual thing. Back in the day, we didn't do Session 0. Yeah, back in the day, we
The
didn't
game
fucking
has
role play.
evolved. Thank
We
you.
kicked down the door. We killed the monsters. We took their loot. There was no role playing.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan G. Wiz. Yeah, Session 0 is absolutely a thing.
Ryan, hello.
But yeah, that's the thing, and it's an important thing, and that's where you do your starting planning. You can do talking before, and like for every campaign I made that I tried to make, we would have some talks before we do board game night because we'd say like, hey, we're not going to play for a bit, or do board games. We'd have some talks of, hey, what do you guys think? What I'd ask some questions of what they're looking for in a game in this kind of genre, and we try and work that. Zero allows you to get your character. That lets you get everyone together. I do a
Yes.
bunch of stuff in Zero generally to help everything go smooth, to get some characters together a little bit. But on that note, I mean, since Xander brought it up, I actually feel like as a starting thing, if you get a couple sessions in and someone wants to change their character a little bit, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not
Like, I
playing,
didn't
like,
know
the
that this
fucking
was-
Pathfinder Society or something. There's no fucking skin in this game.
Yeah, it's like
It's all
I
about
thought this
having
ability
fun.
was supposed to work this way, and it doesn't. I don't feel like that's the way I want it to play, and so can I
Yeah.
change? I'm like, yeah,
I
fine.
did that. Yeah, I did that in Rime of the Frost Maiden. The subclass I picked just wasn't working, especially with the story, and I ended up going a completely different direction with my subclass, and I was much happier for the rest of the campaign.
That is one of the greatest things I liked about 4th edition D&D was like, oh, hey, you got a feat you don't like? Here's a way in the rules for you to change out feats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, hey, shit, that's a great idea. That should have been in fucking every version of the game. And because
They have something similar in Tasha's where, like, anytime you take a level up, you can change out your subclass.
perfect. Because they need to say that because too many people are slavishly devoted to the rules. Well, it's the rules. Like, they're really more of guidelines. Because they are.
Parlay.
Because, like, if you get slavishly devoted to the rules, you will not have as much fun. You just fucking wing it sometimes.
Yeah.
Fucking wing it. Try it. But back on topic with starting, you want to have the sessions here. You want to talk about all the things. You even want to have a session, -1. Hi, Godzilla. Where you talk about the meta of it.
Yes.
Because you're like, hey, what topics are you going for? This may seem stupid, but some player groups don't want to have, they just want to be like, we want to be like the heroes and don't want to have like personal relationships. I'm not interested in like an NPC romance or anything. You need to know that as a GM.
Yeah.
Because then you don't put those things in the game. And some are like, oh, I'm open to it, but it's not like a big thing. Cool. You put the opportunities in there, you don't play in it. Some are like, I really want this. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Plan for it. And by them telling you, you can plan for it.
Yeah.
Xander says, I have some unresolved issues with a rare rotor GM. I'm here to tell you, Xander, most GMs are railroading because really, if you try and make a story without railroading people, um, you end up fucking psychotic because it's impossible to plan. That's like you can do that. Some good GMs can, but mostly what we do is we just hide the tracks. You think you're off the tracks, but you're fucking on the tracks.
Oh yeah.
Or you're being
I-
redirected without you knowing about it.
Or I'll be like, hey, roll for travel encounter. And no matter what they roll, it's one option. Sometimes, depending on what.
Also,
I
I'll be
have
like, okay,
planned.
there's this kind of bad guys in the area. You roll for travel count. How much you fail by is how badass those particular bad guys are. Oh, yeah, I mean, if it's just you have to follow the rails, like, you need to disguise that shit.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in order to go next, I mean, sometimes you can also just, I generally look at it as like a tree campaign where you go, here's your starting point, you go one of two ways. If you go the way where you're that's not, quote unquote, the rails, well, then we fucking got to figure out what the hell's going on, and that's a good time to end the session so I can figure out where the fuck you're going next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why
I've called sessions early because, like, I'm like, this is as far as I've prepared, or like
I expect you guys to actually do the right thing, not be assholes. Give me time to plan for assholes.
Yep.
It happens. And as the GM, you need to remember, and this is sort of off topic, honestly, at this point, that you were there to help them tell a story. And if they want to tell a story that's not the one you expected, you better be ready to fucking pivot.
Oh yeah. My session 0, I play a game called The Quiet Year, where you are establishing the group in a community, and they basically play out a series of events throughout a year, depending on what card prompts you pull. And so everybody not only gets to contribute to building the world, but everybody's now on the same page of the things that now exist in this community.
I do similar, more of my system here is more of tell me your backstory and an NPC who's important to you. So they build the world by that, like in the sort of Thundar the Barbarian themed game. Banyan was like, oh hey, my whole village was captured and enslaved by this big bad guy, and I went to the Witch of the Forest. Actually, he said the Witch of the Black Forest. I'm like, let's just call it the Witch of the Forest, because otherwise she's hammy. And like, I learned from her all this ice magic and everything so I could go fight them. Like, perfect. That you've now built part of the world naturally because it's part of your backstory and how it fits in. And that's great to build because now I've got free stuff in the background. I've got a bad guy for the people to fight. I've got a quest for you to go on, and I've got a whole NPC and backstory shit that I can use. That stuff's great. Even more so, there are a bunch of games out there that have random roll, character origin stuff. And you don't have to random roll it. You can let them choose it unless there's some giant advantage. And if they're just choosing for advantage, who fucking cares, really? But you might want to talk to them. But like we did Mekton. That has a whole life path thing like all the old Artal Saurian games. And they were having the fucking greatest time rolling on that. It made a bunch of backstory for him. So, I mean, you got to look at that, and that's important starting the game. Like some people use a pre-built world that if you're making your own world, sometimes you got to think about that stuff you need to build.
Yeah.
Though I must say, playing in an established world is so much easier.
Oh yeah.
But it ain't always possible. It's sort of like the wonder of a Marvel comic. You open it up, the broad strokes of the world.
Yeah, like I look forward to someday, like I've been running Homebrew for so long, I look forward to running an established world campaign at some point, like doing Zadia from Dragon Prince or something.
I'm in.
Okay, I know you and Mizzy are in.
That didn't take much.
Oh no. Dragon Prince is one of my favorite worlds. I love the shit out of it.
It was a huge influence on my Homebrew. Like that's where I got the Moon and Sun Elves.
I mean that's the secret, the quote unquote secret to being a GM. We don't make all this shit up. We just fucking steal it.
Uh-huh. My last world was a complete mashup of Adventure Time and Kipo and the Age of the Wonder Beast.
Kipo is amazing.
Yeah.
It's great. Like and more than that, it's like when you're making up the stuff, talk to your non-players, your old players.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was making up the sci-fi world that we didn't play much in, but I still have all the notes for it. And I went to one of my old players like, "Hey, here's my conundrum. I want this and this. What do you think?" And she's like, "Oh, I think you should do this, 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 and this." And like, these are great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reach out to everyone you know.
Yeah. Other DMs. Talk to people that like are just into the same kind of. Talk to your friends that are into the same fandoms that you are, and be like, "Hey, I want to try this idea, or I want to base something on this particular fandom. And do you have any ideas of like what are your favorite parts of that fandom that you would love to see in a game?"
Yeah. Or in general, just go like, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
building races for this kind of campaign. What are some cool ideas you have?" She ended up with these great ideas for a whole one of the alien races. And I might use that world again. That's why I take notes of all this stuff. Take notes of everything. Take notes of everything.
Yes.
Because you might steal from yourself in the future. You might be going like, "I'm playing a sci-fi world. Oh shit, I spent all that time building most of a sci-fi world. What parts can I steal?"
All of it.
Names, whatever. Now try not to steal stuff that they've experienced a bunch, because then it becomes kind of obvious, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, you're using that again?" But we play, like, all of our superhero games were in the same world, so that we're just sort of building on it every time we play. So like, "Oh, hey, you encounter this person." Most of them know, "Oh, hey, I know who that person is." And their characters may not, but at least they have an idea, and it helps them a little bit to picture the world.
Yeah.
If you play a D&D game, if you've played another game, try and use the same world if you can, or at least have broad strokes.
Yep.
Steal the ideas from established fictional characters. If you want to be like, "Oh, hey, you meet a group of adventurers and you describe it as basically fucking the companions from fucking Dragonlance," they have an idea who they are. Like, "Oh, I understand who these people are."
Oh yeah, like I totally threw a bunch of Star Trek characters into my campaign and called them the away team.
Perfect. you know.
And the like my players immediately knew what kind of characters they were.
Yep. Like, we laugh at all these tropes and stuff, but they exist for a reason. They exist so that you sort of have a shorthand for stuff. Use all that stuff when you're starting your game. It's important. It'll make it easier. And communication. Oh, damn it, Legion.
Thank you, Legionnaires.
Sitting up. I am.
Oh,
Oh, Gonzo.
What do we need to do?
Posture check.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, that was a good neck crack. Holy moly. Let me check the superb owl. It's still going.
Yeah, tropes are great surprises for people. I agree, Xander. I also have taken into throwing various celebrities into my campaign just to fuck with my players. We also, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to name this particular faction the Foo Fighters, and you guys can make up whatever jokes you want from there.
Oh, hell, hydrate.
Oh, hydrate. Thank you.
I'm on the bottle number 2 of water. But yeah, all that stuff is easy. It'll help you start the game.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, Mizzy.
Yeah, all that stuff will help you start a game, because it's basically shorthand for getting them to know what it is. And it's less important as you go on. You need less tropes as you go on in the game.
Yep.
But to start, you need to deliver a bunch of basically exposition and ideas quickly. And unlike a movie where they can show not tell, you basically have to fucking tell.
Yep. I had an entire story arc in my other group that was based on one scene from a movie, and we ended up with like a 4 or 5 session story arc with it.
Awesome. All my feng shui game, Mediocre Trouble and The Big Easy, was everything I could was based off of movies. Every single adventure I could was based off of a movie, an action movie.
Yep.
Steal from where you can, but but also make sure your people know what you're playing.
Yeah.
Give them recommended reading, recommended watching. Try not to make it too much.
Yeah.
Like when we did the Thunder game, I'm like, hey, watch the intro to Thunder the fucking Barbarian, the cartoon. Watch an episode if you want, but that's sort of the theme we're going for.
Yeah.
And it'll help a lot because now they have an idea what they're looking at. You've given them another shorthand of, oh, shit, we're looking at this. I want to do something crazy like this.
Playing a vampire game? Yeah, watch this movie.
Don't say Interview with the Vampire because fuck that movie.
Nope, we're talking about the TV series.
Okay.
Yes. The TV series is much better.
Oh, yeah.
Then the movie, that's not fucking hard. That's the movie I've checked my watch the most in. That was bad. It was just fucking boring as shit. Anyways. Yeah, so in short, use all the sneaky tricks you can to get a lot of information off quick to help you start a game. Communicate with your players through the start, any pausing, because they'll need to take notes as well so they remember where they come back. And then also, when you're ending a game, make sure you communicate with your players because they need to know it's going to end because they might want to do something. When we ended Three Gnomes and a Half Giant, players did stuff because they felt it was climactic and they wouldn't have to worry about, oh, we're going to have another session and my character going to die. They're like, no, it's climactic end. I'm going to do all the self-sacrifice shit I can. And lo and behold, half the party died in that last thing, but they defeated the bad guy. And it was epic, I felt. So, but make sure you communicate that stuff, because you want to make sure if there's an end going on, you can make it epic by letting them know so that they can act appropriately.
Yeah.
Because we get this stuck in like, I don't want to lose this character. I enjoy this character. But if you know this campaign's ending, well, then you can really focus on doing what your character would do.
Yeah.
Be a hero.
And some...
Or
Sorry,
be a coward sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you have players that you've given them stuff throughout the campaign, but they're holding on to it until that final boss fight. So letting them know that that's coming gives them opportunities to think about how they would use said items or abilities and things like that, and getting to see them go full Infinity War.
Yep. Well, you've got Chekhov's gun. It's time to use it.
Yeah.
We saw it in the first act. It's the third act. Fucking use that gun.
Yep.
So, yeah. I would say the most important thing in all three of these is communication with your players. To be fair, I think that's the most important thing all over, but I say that a lot. And taking notes. Fucking, especially for the if you're going to pause. Notes. That way you know
Yes.
exactly where you are.
Yep.
I technically have a campaign on pause right now. It's been on pause for like 3 years, maybe 4 years. I don't know. Pre-COVID. How long is that? A while. But I know where we stopped.
5 years ago?
Thanks. Yeah. I don't think it's going to come back.
No.
I don't think we're going to see the return of the Adventures of Sewer Bear, unfortunately. But anyways.
Sewer Bear?
Oh, yeah.
We
all the
recorded it.
episodes are online.
Now, you're not wrong, Ryan. That was 4,000 years ago.
Like a lifetime ago. Everything has changed since then. And we haven't all caught up with that. But that is a discussion for another time.
Yep.
Ready to go to media section because I really, really got to pee. In fact, I'm going to go pee because I really, really got to pee.
Yeah, I do too. We'll be right back on.
All right, so I'll
Hey,
keep
welcome
everybody on there.
the fort.
I'm holding down the fort as I'm trying to finish up painting on my brine blood with some cool purples and everything going on. I did not overdrink, so I don't have to pee. I'm a responsible podcast person. I did what I was supposed to and peed before the podcast and didn't drink a lot during the podcast. And if anybody's talking or putting anything in the chat, I cannot see it because I'm not paying attention to it. I am painting my models. Like a good podcast member would. not sucking ass and leaving me high and dry. But that's just me. I'm a responsible person, and I'm always looking out for our audience. Are they back yet? I'm not looking, so actually I probably need to call a stopping point anyway on this model, because all I got to do is the eyes and the teeth and the dry brush the sand. So going back to a little bit of the conversation, since John's back, one of the things I've had to do when, even with talking with my players, finding out that they're not right for the system because the system is just a little too complicated for them, which I've had to do, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I recognized it and saw it right away. But I mean, I think John really hit it on the head. You need to communicate, and you need to make sure that you talk to your players and say, "Hey, is everybody having fun? This is what we're doing. Anybody got a problem with it? Nope. All right, let's go." I'll switch it over to the media section. As Nerd comes back right at the media section. So let's talk media. I have 742. John has 355, and Nerd has 1,000.
Exactly this many.
Type things. Let's talk about something that just happened. Let's give it the Deadpool trailer before we go any further. We forced Nerd to watch it before we got on here. So the Deadpool trailer just dropped. And the Deadpool trailer without thing is supposed to unify all the Marvel universes together so we can have X-Men in the MCU, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it ties in stuff from Loki.
Yeah. There's TVA in it. Go watch the trailer if you haven't seen it. It's not long.
I mean,
it's still a teaser trailer.
There's plenty of spoilers of everyone who's going to be in it. So it's,
It's not a big thing. But it is something that is going to be... It's the tie-in to tie-in everything, and they were,
which is good.
Yeah, and they weren't shy that that's what they were going to do. They said that's what this show was going to be about, and Deadpool's the perfect character to tie in the two universes, in my opinion.
The only thing I didn't know is if it's rated R or not.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go check that now.
Disney's not always smart like that.
No, if they don't, it's.
I mean,
he's so PG-13.
PG.
Yeah.
It can be PG-13. That's fine. But I'm just curious because it affects what we expect to be done.
It didn't say. It just gave the title and the date.
Okay. No worries. I'm just curious.
Yep.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
I just clicked right to the end just to see.
If you haven't seen it, go ahead and see it. It was good and fun. It's your typical Deadpool trailer, breaking fourth wall stuff. Shooting and killing. Action looked really cool.
I'm stupid excited.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be another good, fun Deadpool movie.
It's the next one that really, really says I need to see that in the theater, which doesn't happen a lot anymore.
Yeah,
there's stuff I want to see, and I'm like, oh, I'll see that when it comes on streaming or something.
So I'll watch that in the theater. It should be worth it. Another trailer that dropped for some people that I don't know if they didn't watch it, but I did because I'm a huge fan. I love Wicked, and Wicked is coming as a 2-part. And I love the musicals, one of my favorite musicals of all time. I'm hopeful it's going to be good, but cats.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair reaction.
I will counter with Into the Woods, but I know that Cats exists, and I can't deny that because I've seen it.
Les Mis was good.
Yeah. I'm just saying, converting a musical to a TV show.
Hairspray was a musical. Never mind.
Yeah, and I'm like, you got to get, you got to get through. Hopefully, it's good. I want it to be good. I love the music. I think it's an amazing musical. Hopefully it's going to be really awesome. I haven't seen if there's been any other things drop. I'm actually I'm on a page that has here's all the commercials for stuff, and nothing else has really come out yet.
I'll be honest. I've stopped caring about as soon as YouTube became a thing, the Super Bowl commercials became less important because I can just see them all on the fucking internet. Like there was a couple years ago, like YouTube in its infancy, like literally like, hey, here's all of the Super Bowl commercials in one click and playlist and go. And I'm like, cool, I'll watch this.
Thank you.
Yep, and it'll be up within a short time of the Super Bowl being over.
I mean, to be fair, I've been podcasting on Sunday nights for a very, very long time, so I haven't seen the Super Bowl in a very, very long time.
Yeah. Also, a trailer dropped Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Continuation. It looked good. I like the last one. It's still like it's going to be, a good fun, action movie.
Tom Cruise and all dropped, I don't know if it's a full trailer, but at least a teaser for the next Mission Impossible movie.
Gotcha.
Which they're no longer calling Dead Reckoning Part 2. They're giving it its own name, which is fine. I don't really care one way or the other. Yeah. Apparently people have a problem with Part 1, Part 2. Fuck off.
I don't care. So let's go and get to the normal media section stuff. So I was working on some stuff, working on campaign stuff, and I was like, I need to put something on and, watch it while I'm doing it. So as you know me, ADHD. And so I was like, what does Netflix have on? Oh, Ready Player One's on here. Okay. I'll put on Ready Player One. I know Ready Player One. I know what it is. And then I got a little too sidetracked and started watching it a bit. I gives the same rating. I wish they would have done the book. Was it cool to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Spartans from Halo fight with each other on big battlefield? Yes. Was it cool? Yes. I wish they would have done the book. So no changes.
I will reply. They couldn't have done the book. It would not have fucking worked.
Yeah. I still think
say it all the time.
Especially because Spielberg doesn't self-reference.
And And honestly, Gonzo, this is 100% a you problem. You are not judging it based on what it is. You're judging it based on what you want it to be, which is the ultimate failing of watching a movie.
I think they should have done it as the
I think
book.
You're giving it a bad rating because you're like, should have done the book. Well, they should have done fucking Lord of the Rings the book. Should they have? No, they fucking shouldn't have.
No. But
I will honestly say, in many cases, it's good for them to exist as separate media.
Yes.
In fact, let's get into it. Go and give your rating again. I want to get into this.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's still a 3.5. I wish they would have done a book. I wish they would have done the events from the book. I wish they would have kept to the book. It would have been a better movie, in my opinion. And everything.
It would not have been. Do you know why? Because everyone who read the book wouldn't have fucking watched it. Let's talk about Halo. I haven't watched Halo yet, but everyone on the internet's fucking like, I can't believe they're not doing the story exactly in the fucking fucking game.
I also watched Halo too, so we can get back to that whenever we come back to it.
I haven't watched any of the episodes yet. I'm gonna wait for it to be all at once so I can watch one a day, which is more of my speed. But everyone's up in arms about it. I'm like, look, they already fucking did that story. That story's fucking done.
Yeah, I'll comment on Halo when we come into it. Because I will review the first 2 episodes, I think is what it is.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about it conceptually. You shouldn't do that. In fact, not doing that is going to save the entertainment industry. Because I think back to a series that didn't just fucking remake what came before it and was all the better for it. Fucking Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
If they had been slavishly devoted to the original lore and everything in the remake, it would have not been good. But instead, they took the broad strokes and changed it and made it's like a mythology. It's a different telling of a mythology. And it became so much better for it. Look at all the Batman movies. He's mythology now. They're all telling a different version of Batman, and that's fine. And that's actually good for the entertainment system, because otherwise it's going to be like, oh, hey, we're going to remake this movie. When they remade fucking, God damn it, Anthony Perkins, Stabby Stab, Bates Motel. Psycho. When they made Psycho shot for fucking shot, I'm like, this is the fucking death of the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
There's no need to do that. The person who did it before you fucking did it better.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean...
What's your review that you're going to go first?
Oh, my review? You want me to stop or anything? Okay.
Yeah, you're
You're snowballing.
Yeah, you were.
That's fair. It happens. That's why it's a rant, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
We were promised no rant.
Yeah, right. Do you believe that?
No, that's the reason why it was a joke to begin with.
Indeed. I watched Bullet Train again. I found myself watching some clips here and there, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch the whole movie again. And the more I watch the movie, the more I love it. Like, it's got a couple slow parts, but generally speaking, that movie is interesting from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And it's like a Quentin Tarantino or a whodunit movie where you watch it the second time, you're like, now you're looking for all the connective pieces you missed the first time. And there's so many of them. And man, I just know that movie. Whenever you have a movie and Brad Pitt is doing a great job, because he's the only person who could make that character likable. Most of their actors, that character would have been insufferable. But he made him likable. And he's not even the best performer. I feel like everyone in that movie does a great performance.
I even liked Aaron Taylor Johnson in it, and he's very hit or miss for me.
I don't know. I like him in most things, but he was great in it. Like Tangerine and Lemon, they could have been the main character of the whole movie, and it would have been a great movie still. But,
I would love to see a spin-off with just them.
I mean, prequel have to be. Spoiler. Yeah. But no, it's great. I love it. I want more movies like that. It's not afraid to be silly and go completely off the rails, so to speak, at the end. And just enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it's done by one of the guys that did John Wick and his whole crew, and it's great. So, I mean, I don't want to give it the first time. I'm going to give it 0. It's got rewatchability. You can watch clips from it. It's great. Fucking Hiroki Sanada, I think his name is fucking the Japanese. It's great. Like, as the old man, just like, he fucking nails it. You got the guy from Warrior in it who's doing, a solid job. Everyone does just a great job, and it is just enjoyable to watch. So I'm gonna give it 0.
Bates.
Yeah, she says bitch too much, but it's kind of a theme. Yeah, and the way it all like connects together, you're like, oh shit! Like every connective piece is just really cool.
Yeah.
So 0. Nerd, what do you got?
I've got a rewatch that I watched. It was my roommate's first time watching it, and it still hits me in the feels every time I watch it, which is Nimona on Netflix. Oh, yeah. It's an animated series. I read the graphic novel. I had picked that up years ago, so I was stupid excited for the movie. And it's not quite the book, but it's, again, I like the fact that it is its own thing, and I really, really love the character development in the movie. The animation style is gorgeous to look at. The soundtrack is fun. And again, it hits you right in the feels when you're not expecting it in a good way. I give it 0.
It was good. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rounds up.
So, still going on the train of watching stuff over again, because I was busy. Pacific Rim was on. So,
hold on. 0 space herpes. No comments.
I'm watching it, and while the kaiju fights are great and stuff, the lines in the movie just aren't great. Some of the stuff you're just delivering, you're like, they're just phoning this in.
They are the right line. No, I don't think they're phoning it in. They're the right lines for the movie. Everyone in that movie understands what movie they're making.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what it's that cheesy, Commander, it's overpowered, and I'm like, and I'm looking at it like, yeah, this is super cheese, but
it's designed for it.
That's what it's designed for. It's designed for the super cheese.
Like early on, when the brothers are together and like codename Knifehead, you're like, he gets the movie he's in. He knows the movie he's in, and he's fucking selling it.
Yeah.
And then you get Charlie Day being Charlie Day.
Yeah.
And Ron Perlman being Ron Perlman.
And then they're together for a bit. Great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like Lily, I will unabashedly say 0 space herpes. No comments. It's great.
I give it half.
That's fair too. I just, man.
Rewatch.
I cannot imagine that movie being better.
Rewatch. The dialogue was just getting to me. But I was like, what the? And I didn't even really pay attention to it the first time. I was just like, kaiju, that type of mentality. But since I was sitting there and I was like, did they just, yeah, that was pretty cheesy line type thing. But
Yeah, but that's the movie. It's perfect.
so it was all right. I give it a 2 still because it just kind of just doesn't get me, and the cheesiness just doesn't flow
Wow.
with me.
2 movies where Gonzo gives a combined like 5.5, and I give him like a combined 1.
So, all right, John, what's your next one?
I'm not gonna. I am I'm trying to finish getting through Strange New World season 2.
Oh, okay.
I will say I noted everyone on the thing that after 2 real banger first 2 episodes, the third episode not as good, but some good parts. I do like the guy that I have playing Kirk.
Yep.
He's very enjoyable. I did like the overall. It got better towards the end. They skipped. Every time I looked at him, like, oh, this is when it's going to get uncomfortable comedy. It never got uncomfortable comedy. They
good.
rode that line well. It was enjoyable. It's the time travel one for those of you out there. I did love the fact that, like, oh, we need to make money, and Kirk's like, I think I can do that, and he goes and beats everyone at chess for money, and I'm like, that's a fucking Kirk thing to do. That feels on point for him. So I enjoy it. I do enjoy Stranger Worlds. I'm gonna try and get through that. Nerd.
I watched a documentary series on Max. I still call it HBO.
Yeah.
Called "I'll Be Gone in the Dark." It's based on a book written by Patton Oswalt's wife that she had started before she passed away, studying the
Serial killers.
Yeah, Golden State Killer.
That came up in conversation somewhere else that she was like big in that, and I was like, the what now?
Yeah, no, that's what she wrote. And she passed away before finishing her book. So it's about finishing her book, and the evidence collected and research done for that book ended up catching him. Like years after the events of the Golden State Killer, they ended up catching him and convicting him. And it's intense, but it's very, very good. I give it 0. I don't normally watch a lot of serial killer stuff. So, like, that's kind of a newer genre for me that my roommate's getting me into, and it was really good.
Awesome.
All right, Gonzo.
I watched the new first episode of Halo. It came out. As a nerdy guy, I played the Halo games. I didn't pay a lot of attention to the story when I was playing. It's been many, many years since I played the Halo games. I don't have a problem with John Spartan taking off his helmet. Don't give a shit. I don't care at all. It doesn't
I actually have
bother
some
me.
comments on that too. It's simple ones. Everyone goes like, "Oh, you can emote in your helmet," and then they show some particular things. I'm like, you can emote in your helmet, but you can only give the broad strokes, and you have to, as they say in theater, play for the cheap seats.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff that everyone lambasts William Shatner for? You have to act like that to act in a helmet. Yeah. And I have no problem with him taking off a helmet if it means he can emote better.
Yeah. So the first 2 episodes came out, and they were good. They were so far they are better than last season, in my opinion.
And I was a fan of last season.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it like the best marks ever, but it was good sci-fi.
I enjoyed it a lot better. The first 2 episodes right now have been better than the last season, in my opinion. I'm enjoying it so far. Looking forward to it. I don't know if they're following the story or anything, because when John was talking about that earlier in the podcast, I don't know,
really.
And I don't care, type thing.
It's perfect
because I don't know the story, so it doesn't faze me. But everything else has been fine. I'm enjoying it. characters have been fine. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. What's going to happen because they're delving more into the other characters too, the other Spartans, which is good because I don't know them. Besides, they're Spartans type thing. So I'm looking forward to it. So far, it's been pretty good. I'll give a final rating when it's done, but I'm good for it now.
Yeah, I'll watch it I'll watch it shortly after it's done, so I can just watch one episode a day. That's how I like to watch those things. I can't quite super, binge a thing, but I also don't like trying to schedule a day a week to watch something because life is life. One other thing I can throw in is I've been rereading some old graphic novels just before I go to bed, just to get back in the habit of reading before I go to bed. And I'm rereading Nightwing, and this is a pretty old series, probably from the early 2000s, maybe even before that, and enjoying the crap out of it. It's good to revisit old stuff. But I'd also suggest, this is going to go in, I'm not going to rant about it, but try and get that stuff if you can on a physical media, because I'll be honest, you can't always guarantee that stuff's going to be there for you if you buy it online. So I have collection 1, then I have it skips to 5 in my collection because it's what I could find at the bookstore back in the day. So I've gone online and started looking for them and find them for reasonable prices. So I'm buying them all. So I have them. So no matter what happens, because I don't know if we mentioned on the podcast last week, but I'll mention it again if we did, that Crunchyroll has a tiff with Funimation. So they don't have Funimation anymore. So if you purchased Funimation on Crunchyroll, you can't access it.
Yeah.
And until they close that loophole in laws, which I don't necessarily know they ever will, you should look at physical media still. It's still a good way to own stuff. Now, sometimes you don't care. Big companies and Amazon, it's not going to happen, but you might get a tiff or something you buy it's not available. Yeah. So be aware of that. Buy physical and reread the old things you have. We get to the point now where a lot of streaming services are becoming horribly expensive.
Oh, God.
And you might need to cancel them. Don't hesitate to cancel them. We have, between YouTube and the videos you own, the movies you own, the stuff you download to your computer, your books, your comic books, you have the media. You can enjoy yourself without all of that. So look at that as well. Anyways, I gave that first graphic novel of Nightwing, which is when he goes to Blundhaven to start off and fight on his own. I give it a solid 1.5. It's enjoyable. It's kind of trite at points, but that's a comic book for you sometimes. Nerd?
I started season 4 of The Dragon Prince. I absolutely just loved the first 3 seasons. I'm having a little bit of an adjustment to season 4 because there's a 2-year gap story-wise. So it was trying to remember what happened in season 3 because it's been a couple of years since I watched it.
Well, they didn't have the skip recap thing where you can watch a recap. I love those on streaming things where it's oh, I haven't watched in a while. Let me check the recap. Oh, cool, I remember now. And if you've been watching it all the time, you can click skip.
It has there was a small recap, and then it started and it goes 2 years later, and then
what's going on?
All right, let's go. It's still fantastic. The animation style, gorgeous. The world, amazing. I love all the different kinds of elves that they have in there, like star elves, sky elves, moon elves, sunfire elves, earth elves, and
there's Forgotten Realms in there.
Yeah. And the fact that dragons play such a prominent role in the world, but each of them has such a strong character. Each dragon has its own very distinct personality and all this sort of stuff. They are named. They're not just a type of dragon. No. They are a character themselves. And I'm enjoying seeing the development of the characters from previous seasons and seeing where they are now, quote unquote, 2 years later. And I look forward to trying to binge this in the next week before I lose Netflix. because
Fair
we
enough.
canceled our Netflix. So I still give it zero spacer base. It was a good week of watching.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gonzo?
I'm gonna go with this. Is gonna be my last one. I did watch Masters of the Air. It's still good. But I did watch Marvels, which is on Disney Plus right now. It came out like Thursday or Friday or whatever, and it does have an after credit scene, which is important because it's going to go with things that are going on. This was a fun movie. It was really fun. I still think you should watch Miss Marvel first before you watch this because you'll get the feel for the character.
It's on my list to Miss Marvel into that at some point.
It's still good. You should watch Miss Marvel because you get the character of everything that's going on.
Yeah, Kamala Khan.
Yeah, Kamala's attitude and the way she is and everything, and you shouldn't miss it. The first 30 minutes is fucking amazingly good fun. I'd say the first 45 minutes of the show is just good, solid, fun action bullshit. And it's not there's not like this huge plot story thing going on. It's just a lot of things are happening and it was a lot of fun and really cool. There was a slow part in there and a little bit of cringe at a couple of scenes, but it wasn't like it was detracting the entire thing. The ending was kind of predictable. You could see it, but it wasn't bad.
I was told the villain's kind of meh.
The villain is kind of meh, but
Who even is the villain?
Yeah, that's the key right there. You don't even know who the villain is or why, because it's the whole Marvels, of them finding this one person and trying to find what they need to. And she was just kind of
Like, I don't have a problem with that because honestly, I think modern cinema's gotten too much into the villains being super important. No, the heroes are important.
Yeah. But I mean, the characters, the Marvels, were great. The cat was amazing.
Goose
was amazing.
just because they couldn't name him Chewie because that would have. Well, technically they could now
Yeah, they could now.
because in the comics he was Chewie
Oh, was he?
as best co-pilot.
And then Samuel Jackson was fine as Nick Fury. Everything was good. I mean, this was not a bad Marvel movie.
It's funny because one of the reviewers I saw put it as their 7th or 8th worst movie of the year.
No. Oh, okay. I don't know about year, but definitely not a worse Marvel movie. I mean, we do have, the original Deadpool in the Wolverine movie or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
Those aren't Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Those are Fox movies. Those don't count.
Yeah. But
Let's see.
no, I thought it was a lot of fun. I actually want to go watch it again because it looked really neat and really interesting. I think I'm going to watch it again just to get some cool, interesting things.
Is it better than the Iron Fist series?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
John is sad because Iron Fist is one of John's favorite characters.
Yeah. But no, it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The characters are great. It has some good lines in it. I think Kamala steals the scene in the entire series. There are 2 after credit scenes. I apologize. And one's not really after credit. The movie ends, it kind of goes black and then gives, an after credit scene, which is really good, which is poignant to how the Marvel Universe is coming. And then another scene after that really hits it. And there's a reoccurring character that comes back that I was like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. That was good. Type thing. So, overall, I give it 1.5, maybe pushing a 2, but that would be super, super picky if I did that. Because there were a few scenes and parts of the movie that was like, yawn, okay, yeah. But then the chemistry of all of them working together was really good.
Sure.
Nice.
So, other than that, Nerd, you got anything? John, you got anything?
I got nothing else. I stretched mine as long as I could.
So, well, guys, that'll
I'm gonna
be
watching
it.
Next week I'll have the Monarch finale to finally review.
But I
We
can
keep
say
forgetting that we haven't watched the finale.
I hope to have all of season 2 of Stranger New Worlds done, but I wanted to watch more than just the one episode this week, and that shit didn't happen.
Other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you watching. keep an eye out. We're going to be changing up some of our streaming schedules a bit. Nerd's thinking about moving to Monday. I'm probably going to be doing a Wednesday type streaming. Mine will be at night. I'm going to be working on models or playing, Final Fantasy. It just depends on how things go. Other than that, if you have any questions or anything comes up, you want us to review some products, let us know. We will try to hook you up. Stick around for the new outro. We're going to send you off to Falling Freely. They're doing some art on their channel, and we'll send you off to them. But as usual, please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. If you can do something, do it. And if you can't, find somebody that will. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Nerd.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to More Than Dice, making the world a better, nerdier place, one dumb joke at a time. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more nerdy action or to connect with your hosts, check them out on Facebook.com/More Than Dice and Twitch.tv/more_than_dice. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay proud, and we'll see you soon on the More Than Dice podcast.